Thank you for clicking that link and joining me again today. I am so glad you did. My name is Dee and I am Fat Chick in a Barn, and we're going to talk about 1,000-Pound Best Friends, Episode 3, We Are Not a Joke is the name. And the show opens up with all the girls in a van, and they're obviously going somewhere, and they're talking about therapy. And Megan said she had a good session, and surprisingly, Vanessa said she had a good session and really enjoyed it. Then this is all on the way to Studio Bungee, where they basically lash you to the ceiling and you can jump around and do stuff. And this really helps, from what I gather, reduce the stress on their joints. So they're able to do more things. They're able to squat and jump. And, you know, it looked really fun. And I decided to look up how much it would cost. And it looks like it would be probably about $70 a month. So I kind of hope they stick with it. I don't know if it's a one-time deal for the show, but it seems cool. I hope they do more. And of course, since they're dangling from the ceiling, there's lots of sex jokes. And then at one point, Megan sinks out of the harness and her legs end up in the air. And so they're like, oh, you're going to the gynecologist today? This show is definitely fast and loose with the sex jokes. No pun intended. So through the course of them going to the Studio Bungee and working out and everything, it kind of dawns on Ashley that Megan, who was quite bad off when she was on the previous show, Too Big, is actually in the best shape of all of them. And Tina persists with saying that she wants to do it on her own, which I think is totally cool. And, you know, if she wants to try, I'm totally cool with that. That would be awesome. But she's on the show, so I'm guessing at some point she isn't going to be trying on her own, and she's going to visit Dr. Proctor. We'll just see how long that takes. There is fire back there, I promise. And through the course of the episode, or this part of the episode, you hear that Vanessa is still thinking about moving out. And Megan decides that they all need a girls' weekend and to get away from all of their troubles. So she's going to make all the plans of what they're going to do. So at this juncture in the show, Ashley decides to visit Dr. Proctor and explains to him that she's had gastric sleeve before and wants to know if she could maybe have a revision of it or what she should do. And he tells her that she would need to have now a gastric bypass and thinks she might be a candidate for it, but he tells her that she's got to lose 30 pounds in 2 months, which she thinks is going to be difficult, but at her size, that should be pretty dang easy. And to back up just a teeny bit, she weighs in at 378 pounds. And I always have to wonder about vitamin deficiencies with these types of surgeries. I mean, I know that they get a special liquid prescription vitamins, but I just wonder, you know, how common is a vitamin deficiency? Because that can wreak all kinds of havoc with, you know, a person's body. So I really have to wonder about that, especially as they age. I don't know. I've tried to do some research, but I haven't really found anything. So it's the day of the big event. They're all going to go to the glamping site, and they pile into the van, and Vanessa yells about, I'm going to get naked. And Tina turns around and says, if you yell like that while I'm driving, I'm going to duct tape your mouth shut. This is not a good start to their camp out, because you're only going to get more tired and more irritated. So obviously anybody who's been camping will know more things are going to happen. So Vanessa's already talking about being naked, as I alluded to. I feel that Vanessa would totally win Naked and Afraid. They roll up to the campsite, and there's this big, beautiful tent that would make any Skadian jealous with 4 beds in it. They've got coffee. They've got AC. What the hell? This is not camping. Ugh. So anyway, for some weird reason, they go to get firewood. I'm like, why wouldn't you already have firewood? I mean, obviously your tent is temperature controlled. You don't need firewood, but then I guess maybe they wanted to build a fire in the fire pit. So out there wandering around the woods trying to find firewood, and it was kind of cute because Vanessa's like, zombie run, and they're all like, it's just gonna eat us. It was pretty funny.
Zombies are coming, run! If the zombies zombies come, we're the first ones that are gonna go. You're damn right.
So as they're roaming around the woods, they sit down on a log and they start having snacks, and it's, you know, like kale chips and I don't even know what else. But my thought is this is the exact stuff that people think is healthy, and not that it's not healthy, but this is the stuff they feel that they have to eat to lose weight. And I always find that frustrating. You know, I have a friend who posted, I don't know, I think he was looking at Quest chips and he was like, see, losing weight is expensive. And I'm like, how expensive is a potato? Eat a potato, you know, eat some broccoli. Come on. You don't have to eat Quest chips if you don't want to eat Quest chips. Not that that's bad, and I like Quest chips, but it's not the only way to lose weight. And I don't even think it's optimal. I think that's more of a, you know, guilty pleasure kind of thing, you know, or to replace a chip craving. It is certainly not the only thing you're supposed to eat. You should eat, as you know, as I've probably said in other videos, whole foods. You know, try to eat as much whole foods as you can. If it, you know, came from the earth or had a mother, it's good to go. You can eat that. You know, you're not going to get fat eating a bowl of cauliflower. You know, and the Quest chips are only to be, you know, a relief of that. You know, just a treat, if you will. You know, not the end all be all of your diet. So as they're sitting there eating the snacks, Vanessa eats something and she says, this tastes like my boyfriend's butthole. And then she makes reference to another thing looking like an areola. And of course, Tina's over there like, oh my, she's good, doing the sex jokes again. So they're just kind of, the show's ratcheting up that tension between them. And then when they get a little serious, Vanessa's talking about how her dad made her and her sister promise that it would always be her and her sister, always, you know, that they would always support each other. And she feels really guilty for wanting to move out on her own. And my thought is, if you don't move out on your own, you're gonna die. So Jackie's going to be out without you permanently. It's better for her to be without you temporarily and then get you back in a better condition than it is for her to just have you gone with no chance of coming back. But I don't think Vanessa really sees it that way. So as per all camping trips, it rains. In fact, the last camping trip I was on, it rained. In fact, there was like a 1 hour gap in the rain that we just were like, okay, we can pack. And we packed everything up to get out of there really quick. But at the same time, we had some beautiful rainbows. So there is always a silver lining, right? And at this point, Vanessa relates a story that her mom would strip the two girls naked and let them run around in the rain. That way they wouldn't get their clothes dirty. So they're already, through the entire episode, alluding to some nakedness. As the show rolls on and it continues raining, they start playing a game. And I couldn't tell what game it was. It's something, I don't think it was Cards Against Humanity, but I think it was something along those lines where you give a card to the person you think is most likely to have this event happen. Something like that. So Vanessa gives a card to Ashley saying you're the one that's going to most likely have a pregnancy scare. And then they talk about Megan and how she's uncomfortable, you know, being with her fiance? Husband? I don't know. Boyfriend? Anyway, her significant other, because she's like, I have so many areas that I don't want to be touched, and ever since I lost weight. And it's interesting because that paradigm shift, you know, all of a sudden you realize and you're looking, because I think when you're bigger, like when I was bigger, I had blinders on. I had no idea how I looked. I knew I was fat. I didn't really dwell on it too much. I just kind of went about my life. But now that I'm smaller, I totally agree with her. There are places I don't want to be touched, like specifically my fupa. And of course, when my husband cuddles with me, that's what he touches. And I'm like, why? You know, and of course, his perspective is not any part of me being gross. His perspective is like, well, I love you. It's part of you. So I don't have a problem touching it. I don't see what your problem is. So her husband, boyfriend, fiance, whoever is probably much the same way, has much the same attitude, I would think, but it's all in her head as well. It's all in my head too, So it's the next day, and it's still raining, as one would expect, right? It's almost like TLC picked the weekend that would be rainy. Those bastards. So they're kind of on Tina to go visit Dr. Proctor, and she doesn't want to. She thinks she can lose the weight on her own, which she probably can. She just needs to, you know, make it a lifestyle choice and, you know, all the things I preach. But she's already probably having a little uncomfortableness during this weekend because she kind of suspected that's what was going to happen, is everybody be like, oh, you need to totally go see Dr. Proctor, which she doesn't want to do. And then almost out of the blue, Vanessa goes running out naked into the rain and runs around the campsite. Number one, I was surprised that she could move quite that, you know, well. And she just kind of runs around and is like, you know, kiss my ass, whatever, whatever.
What the hell?
And Tina loses her ever-loving mind on Vanessa and says that she's being degraded and she doesn't want to be degraded, and this is somehow... She keeps specifically saying degrading, right? And, you know, Vanessa's like, I'm just having fun. I'm just running around. And she's like, well, what if somebody saw you? And she's like, what if somebody saw me? Who cares? What are they going to do? Are they going to call the cops? Or are they going to come over here and hang out with us? What do you think's going to happen? But Tina's like, oh, I feel so degraded. And obese people or fat people are the worst to other fat people. I don't think a thin person would care. You know, I don't weigh as much as any of those ladies do, and I don't care. I'm like, you get down with your bad self. You know, I just don't exactly see where Tina's coming from. Vanessa feels judged and upset, and she feels particularly betrayed because these are her friends and they're fat girls to boot. And so the cut's kind of worse. So at this point, Tina just walks out and goes to the van, and she doesn't feel like she can help. So she's kind of like, what am I doing here? Why, you know, I might as well just leave. And so she does. And I think she was genuinely upset. I don't know that this was necessarily, you know, if she's acting, wow, she should get a job being an actress. But yeah, I think she was genuinely hurt by this whole thing. And like, you know, like I just said, the people that are worse to fat people are other fat people. That's the end of the episode. And the end of this episode. There was a lot of stuff going on. And with that, I will see you in the next video. Have a great week or weekend or whatever it is when you're watching this. Air hugs! I am out.